Oh. So, shit. Okay, they're gonna give me the comments.
For most of you, this is a bit of a vacation. For me, this has been hell. I haven't been able to talk to anybody in boxing on camera in weeks. I should be flying around right now covering fights, hearing what the fighters, the promoters, the trainers, everybody has to say about the upcoming events, watching ringside, and then after that, getting you the comments and the analysis of said fights. Obviously, none of this is happening, and I thought that is a tragedy in my life that it's been this long since I've had the opportunity to cover boxing. And I realized that the only people I don't get to talk to on a regular basis that I would like to have a conversation with are you. I get to talk to you. For the first time, I have time to listen to you. You've listened to me for so many years. You've listened to the people on the other side of my microphone and me asking questions and them answering them and me hopefully representing you in a way that you felt a part of the conversation. And for the first time, the conversation is with you. So I'm here to listen to what's going on in your life on this hunkered down quarantine all around the world. It's the one time in my entire life that everybody's doing the same thing. No matter what country you're in, what language you speak, you know what's happening, and you're doing what I'm doing. You're hunkered down. You're stuck with somebody, even if that somebody is yourself. So what I want to know, first and foremost, is how are you managing? Like, is this a good time? Because I have a good time. In my life, I have a good time. So me being locked in the house, it was not my idea of a swell way to spend the spring. I enjoy when I have to leave the home and do what it is that I do because I love my gig so much, and the people out there, such as yourselves, are fantastic. So for me, I did not expect to enjoy this, although I'm enjoying it more than I expected. I'm wondering if you not having to go to work, you not having to go to school, you not having to deal with the public, might be like a good thing. Are you loving it? Or did this come at a time in your life when you were trapped in the house with somebody that you don't like? Or you just figured out you don't like them and you thought you loved them? I'm trapped in the house with my mother, whom I love. Who it turns out I love even more than I thought I loved, which who could have predicted I could possibly love my mother anymore? She's cooking my meals, so she's also watching this broadcast. Doesn't make it any less true. I'm just saying that these things must be said. I am also trapped here with AI. It's my artificial intelligence. Let me tell you what, when the bomb drops, when the police come, when martial law is in effect, when the lockdown happens, whoever you're with, that's who you're with. That's who you're with. You're going to have to get through this with them. You can't kick anybody out of the house right now. You can't end any relationships. You cannot start dating anyone new. Who you're with is who you're stuck with. So listen, get used to it. But now you're stuck with me too, which may just be a good thing. I'm here to offer you some relief. Tell them you have to go in the other room and talk to your old friend. This is it. I've been the only person with the courage to come and visit you in your home. This is what it is. All right, so I need to know. Like, there's enough people here. Somebody tell me, like, what's going on? What is happening around the world? Because I leave the house, right? There's nothing out in the streets. Like, nothing. It's ghost town. Whistling winds and tumbling weeds. This is it. But I'll tell you what is in the streets, which I'm wildly uncomfortable with if you followed my Instagram, you would know that I don't appreciate wild animals walking up on me. I don't like it. It is the only saving grace that I'm not in London right now. with your terrible, terrible fox epidemic. Like, you people are going to be the first to go. I'm surprised you were the last to lock down, but we will all watch you die at the hands of your foxes, who are, by definition of the cartoons I was raised on, incredibly sly. They've been waiting for this moment to overtake the human population, and it's going to start in London. That's what I'm saying. I'll miss you guys, is what I'm trying to say. I saw a rabbit, like a fluffy, big-eared, harmless rabbit, step into my path on the way to the liquor store yesterday and refused to move. This is an animal in normal times that would have scampered away, scurried away. I would have tried to take a picture of it before it ran because, I was amused by the fact that wildlife was still afraid of us and rabbits were so fluffy and scary. The rabbits are bold now. There's wild dogs walking in the streets of Hollywood. There are birds like landing on top of my computer looking at me as though I'm intruding on their turf. So I'm telling you, I've seen online that people are worried about martial law and the world's going to become like chaotic and you're going to start to feed on each other. You'll never have the chance. The animals are taking over. I think that the animals are the ones who have started this entire thing in the first place.
In Japan, they're seeing deer that usually stay in the park roam out on the streets to get their food.
There's deer in the streets of Japan. In Japan, like, deers are scary. Deers are victims of human brutality all the time. They're fearless now.
Francis asks, though, when the purge starts, who are you killing first?
Wait, is anybody telling me what's going on in their life? Like, I want to hear 2 days into self-isolation. I told my wife I want a divorce in a heartbeat. I regretted that instantly. All good now, though. All right, your wife's a saint. And first of all, how long had it been since you spent 2 straight, uninterrupted days with the woman you married and are clearly madly in love with? This is the thing. Everything is out of whack. Like, the amount of time for you to spend 48 hours in the presence of someone, even that you're married to, would have probably taken a week. You'd had 7 days to spend 48 collective hours with someone. And in 2 days, you spent a week's worth of time with the same thing, with the same person. I'm surprised that I don't see more news alerts of violence in the home. But that's good. I think that's good. I think maybe we come out of this thing on the other side as better people, right? Like, okay, first you wanted a divorce. At some point, she probably wanted to kill you. You guys got over the hurdle of domestic violence and homicide, suicide. And now you're probably going to have a stronger marriage than you would have ever had before, right? And just like you want to divorce your wife and kill your wife, my man Cruz, he needs a woman. Yeah. Okay. Wait. What's the next comment?
When the purge starts, who are you killing first?
Okay. Okay. First of all, there's no purge. The reason you can't leave your house is because there is a virus purging us all. The virus is going to kill you before you get a chance to kill anybody. Who are you going to kill first if there's a purge? Who in your house is going to kill you before the virus? That's the question. Listen, you guys are welcome. I know some of you want to talk boxing. I don't know what boxing there is to talk about. When this thing is reset, when we're all allowed to come out again and people are allowed to populate arenas and stadiums and fights get made, there's going to be such a bottleneck of new fights that need to be made and old fights that need to be fought that were already on the schedule that I don't think any of us know what the matchups are anymore. Like, what have we already postponed and are likely to miss? In a couple of weeks, I should be there for Dubois and Joyce, right? That's a fight we've been waiting for. It's a fight that people have been talking about. I couldn't wait to get to London to cover it. Does that fight automatically happen now? when this whole virus thing is over? When does it happen? Are both of these fighters going to wait and stay in condition and be ready to go at the drop of a hat? I don't think so. I'm worried about fights as far out as Wilder Fury 3. Who knows when these fights are going to happen? I think the whole thing is wiped clean and reset. Are we going to see Canelo Saunders immediately when this thing lifts? What if this thing takes 6 more months to lift? There's no contracts can be enforced anymore. Like this is madness. So for those of you who want to talk boxing, we will not deny you. We know that that's what the conversation on this channel is most often about, and I'm open to all conversation. If boxing's on your mind, talk boxing. What matchup are you most devastated? And let's just assume that all the matchups are gone at this point. Nothing is certain. Nothing's guaranteed. What matchups do you most miss that you wish you had an opportunity to see before the virus struck? In the meantime...
So Peter Lewington wants you to know that in Oxfordshire, not too bad at the moment, not many foxes.
And there's not many foxes in Oxford?
Yeah, Oxfordshire, yeah.
I think there are people. I think that the people who are being devoured by foxes can't tell you that they've been drugged to the caves and dismembered. There's no foxes because they're dragging people to their lair and they're fat and full. The reason you see foxes all the time before is they were feeding through garbage. We were running the streets. It's going to be a slow overtake.
So Little Joe says, Radio, I'm an artist. Do you want me to draw something for your channel?
All right, Little Joe, I absolutely want you to draw something for my channel. I mainly want you to draw something because this is the time when people can really indulge in whatever it was that they may have been putting off to the side while you had to go to work, while you had to make ends meet, while you had to deal with your wife and your kids when you got home, instead of being able to take some time for yourself, figure out your hobbies, get better at what it was you wanted to do before you got her pregnant. These are the times where you can actually work on yourself and things that you love. If you love art, by all means, I would love for you to make some key art for this show. We're gonna do this again, and you're gonna and if it's dope, if you're good, if you're not wasting your time over there being an artist, then maybe we use that key art on this show. I'll certainly show it, even if you're trash. I'll definitely show it if you're trash. So whatever you want to do, man, I am open to it, and I can't wait to see it.
Okay, Reason Over Dogma says, can you tell us the inspiration behind your name? I understand it's from Radio Rahim, but can you touch up why you chose that name specifically?
Okay, Dogma was it?
Reason Over Dogma.
Reason Over Dogma. Okay, first of all, I disagree with that wholeheartedly. I'm a dogma guy, 110%. But I didn't choose Radio Rahim, believe it or not. The kids who teased me in school chose it. They decided that because this movie had come out, and probably most of you don't realize this, but apparently I might talk with a bit of more volume than the average Joe. Maybe I articulate a little bit more sharply than most. Apparently it is unusual for someone of my demographic and shade of skin tone to speak in this way. So I was teased as a youth for being a human who sounded like a radio. And it was wildly convenient because there was already a movie out with a character by the name of Radio Rahim. So it was something that was quick to catch fire and catch hold, and very difficult to shake off. So at some point in my life, I spoke with my godfather while complaining about this very moniker that had been attributed to me that I did not like and knew was being used to tease me. And he reminded me that everybody remembers it, they like it, and I was on the radio by then at the time in high school, and if they like it and they remember it, then stop being sensitive. And then he used an expletive that I won't use on this platform, and told me to stop being a bitch and get over it because it wasn't going to change anyway. And so from that point on, I started using it, and you know what? Everybody remembers it. Nobody forgets that name, and now I own it, and everybody who's teasing me is just promoting my show. So therein lies my reason over dogma.
So Bobby Dream says, "Hey Radio, what's good? It's the Dream. Do you think Chisora is gonna get to Usyk? I'm really looking forward to the Chisora fight."
You can't know how much I was looking forward to the Chisora fight against Usyk. And I'm sorry, who asked this question?
Bobby Dream.
Bobby Dream. First of all, you guys give me a lot of stick for this Radio Rahim name. Some of you love it a lot. I hear a lot of shit about it. You guys got some pretty fanciful names yourself, I must say. You're pretty creative there. Maybe you ought to give me a little. I didn't realize these names were so catchy. You guys are doing the same thing I'm doing. I don't know why I gotta be giving all this stick about it. But I wish that, you know what's, to be fair, the fights I'm gonna miss because they're postponed and hopefully not canceled are the ones that are going to be in the UK. Of the fights that were slated to happen, they were either UK fights by location or involving UK boxers. So I got to tip my hat in 2019 to the United Kingdom boxing community on the whole, because I'm sure many of you who have been talking to me and listening to me for some time now remember maybe 3 years ago or 4 and 3, I was talking to Eddie Hearn on a regular basis about his intention to, air quotes, take over America. And we were debating as to which pawn had the best fighters and where you had to make it. And did it matter if you made it in America, and how many British champions they had and how many American champions we had. And I laughed at him. I laughed at him, at his idea that the British fight community would take over boxing. And at the same time, it wasn't a nationalistic thing. I wasn't like, well, the American boxing community owns boxing outright either. But the idea that it would be this weighted on the British side, I did not foresee. Right now, you gotta give it to the UK. They are the home of boxing. The fans are more supportive. You've got more champions. Those champions have more hardware. So the rivalry is on. I mean, America has definitely held its place for long enough. It's not like these things don't go back and forth. But I didn't foresee it being quite this weighted on the other side of the pond this quickly. And you got to give Eddie Hearn some credit for being able to put those matchups together. Al Heyman, some credit for being willing to work with Eddie Hearn and vice versa to put those heavyweight belts up for grabs. Joshua was able to collect. Now Fury was able to collect. Don't forget, those were Heyman fighters. He was willing to put those titles on the line, and the British fighters came and took them all. So yeah, credit to you. That was unexpected from my perspective.
So Alia Ahmed is asking, will you be exercising at home?
Alia, the home exercise situation is wild stuff. I've been banned from all the gyms because the doors are locked. So I consider that a personal ban. I take that personally. All gym owners who won't let me in, regardless of your reasoning, I take that personally. I feel like that's church for us. Like, yeah, you should not. I think visitors shouldn't be allowed at the gym. But if you're a card-carrying member of a gym, if you've bled and sweat and cried on that canvas, if they know your name before you tell them, if they look in your eyes and they know who you are, that door should be open to you. They should allow the real tried and true knuckleheads in the gym that they have been associated with their entire fighting life. I think that should be a standard in our community. Because a lot of these things, there's not like it's a law in most places. Yeah, it's an ordinance maybe, or a suggestion from the state, or the government saying, we got curfews and whatnot. But if some of these facilities like gyms wanted to open for a small number of people whom, they know and are patrons, I think that's what should happen in our community, to be fair. But that's not what's happening. So what my exercise has come down to is just walking these desolate streets and dodging wild animals. I try to get 10 miles a day, one foot in front of the other, hoofing it around the streets, and there's nowhere to go. So I really am just walking aimlessly. And I try to get 10 miles in every day. My hips are hurting. I feel like I need new shoes. I can only get them online now. I was thinking about, though, and this is true, getting a yoga mat. No, I'm not going to start doing yoga. Relax. But get my crunches going, because I told you I'm at my mom's house. She's not going to stand for any of this sweating on her carpet or like funking up the living room in one of these like, you know, online experiences where I'm jazzercising and shit. This isn't going to happen. But she does have a lot of grassy area, a lot of outdoor area where I could put down a mat and kind of go through routines. You could shadow box and stuff like this, which I haven't started doing yet, but that's what it's come to. I think once I get it sorted, I'm gonna go to like Big Five or something. Not even Big Five's not even. Man, hopefully they have them at like Costco or one of these grocery stores. Get myself a mat, get my crunches going. So I'm gonna come out on the other end of this thing with a 6-pack, maybe an 8-pack, and like it's still gonna be under a layer of fat, but right below that upper layer of fat, I want you guys to all know it's going to be a incredibly chiseled 8-pack. The only reason there's going to be a layer of fat is because, again, I'm at my mom's house. I'm eating 4 squares a day, drinking myself to sleep. It's a swell time. It's a swell time. But we can't all come out of this thing 100 pounds heavier. That is unacceptable. This is a time for us to be an example to the world, fight community, knuckleheads. This is a time to show that we are better than everyone by coming out of this thing at least fit, if not even fitter than we went in.
Although, speaking from personal experience, yoga only works in a room full of people that you're judging, you're being judged by, because you can only be fully present when you're in shame. Anyway, RD says, I love your tribute on Roger Mayweather on Twitter.
Yeah. You know, it's an odd thing at a time like this when we're all hunkered down with hopefully our loved ones or soon-to-be loved ones, because even people you might have just kind of liked at the beginning. I think this is going to go on longer than any of us anticipate. I don't expect to see any of you in person in 2 weeks, unfortunately. But I do think that you're going to get a greater appreciation for the humans that we take for granted in our lives and that are be present on a day-to-day basis. I think what is coming will require that we band together. And that's odd because of all this social distancing to think of banding together. But it's going to be more necessary than ever that we find community and understand how valuable our fellow man is and how cherished time with family can be, even when we're all so busy, that when someone passes from our community, someone that has been a part of our lives for decades, a part of so many fight nights, whether you ever met the man as I did, or whether you've only seen him on TV, as many of you have, over years and years in the corner of your favorite or most hated fighter, whichever Mayweather was. I'm certain whether you hated him or loved him, you never missed the fight. And you know the antics of Roger Mayweather and just how entertaining he was, how genuine he was, how incredibly insightful he was. He was a master of the sport, and it seemed effortlessly so, not to mention his own boxing career. You can't really overstate, from my perspective, how jarring it was to lose him at a time like this. Because as often as I had encountered the man, and as many times as I have covered Mayweather events, been around that family in a professional sense, sometimes you don't think about, hey man, these guys are family too. I feel like my heart really goes out to Floyd and his entire family for what they've been through recently. It's unimaginable to lose people right at a time like this. Imagine how busy Floyd is, even after his career, how many things he's got going on. I'm assuming that he's mortal like the rest of us and concerned about his family like the rest of us. And this time probably could have been spent hunkered down with his uncle, with his children, the mother of his children at times, and to lose that opportunity just when you may be learning to appreciate it the most has got to be a hardship that none of us who didn't experience it could appreciate. So all you can do at this time is really appreciate the time you did have with these people who we may lose and people who we've already lost during this tough time, and you would be remiss if going forward you didn't appreciate the people in your life a little bit more, knowing that people are losing those that were in their lives, because the world doesn't stop turning. We might stop going out and being a part of it, but everybody is still having to live with all the other things happening in their life that have nothing to do with this virus or quarantines or lockdowns or boxing even.
So on that note, Rajai Pujos asks, who wins in their prime, Sugar Ray Leonard or Floyd Mayweather?
Who?
Rajai Pujos.
Rajai. I'm not an analyst. I wish I could answer that. If I could answer that question, I would know. I would probably be the first person that Roger Mayweather didn't say you don't know shit about boxing. In that degree, I don't know shit about boxing. I don't know shit about whether a fighter from the 80s would beat a fighter from the 90s. Like, I don't know if a guy who retired yesterday might be able to beat a guy who is having his pro debut tomorrow. These are fantasy fights. You couldn't say. I really do believe that in an era, there was a time and a level of competition, and how that fight would have been made, at what weight, where those fighters would have been, how they would have approached each other. We can only speculate. How many of you, and I know most of you will claim it now, would have said, well, I knew that Tyson Fury was going to come out and knock Wilder out and be aggressive and throw the heavy shots and keep pressure on him and not try to elude and not try to box and not try to keep the fight at a distance. How many of you would have known that he was going to take that approach and expected it to work as well as it did before he did it? I would say very few. Although some will claim they knew, most will be honest and be like, even if you called the fight for him, you probably thought it was going to be by a decision. So to imagine a fight by two fighters who have never fought, could have never fought, lived in different eras, and to think you would know who won, I think that indicates you don't know shit about boxing.
So RJ Gunnar is asking, who's your favorite British boxer to interview?
Favorite British boxer to interview? That, probably Derek Chisora. Not because he's a great interview, but because he's a tough one. And you never know what he's going to say. And just about, I would say, if not every time I talk to this guy, he says something I don't expect, and he makes me laugh. And he's a guy I think that is genuine in the way he puts himself forward. Like, he's an odd bird. He's an odd bird, to be sure. And I have a fun time with him. And it's a difficult interview. Sometimes he feels like talking, sometimes he doesn't. But he's never, like, rude about it. You know what I mean? Even when I know he doesn't want to talk, or he's irritated that he has to stand there with me, even though I would consider him a decent friend, he doesn't care. It's just like whatever mood he's in, that's what you're going to get. And me trying to pull out of him something that makes sense, and then me getting from him whatever it is that he has to offer, which might on its face make no sense at all until I talk to him 4 questions down the line and get what he means. It's a fun time. Sometimes the toughest interviews are the most fun. He's a tough one, but he's a fun one.
Okay, so Mustafa Rock C wants to know, well, he says, I absolutely love your energy, a lot of respect for your work ethic. My question is, what's your affiliation with Islam and religion in general?
I don't talk about religion because it's your own. Like, you gotta have some things that are personal, right? Your relationship with God or lack thereof is your own business, and it's mine. So for me to talk to you about that would have to be in a context of you and I having a personal conversation. But I don't proselytize. I am not concerned with what you believe or whether you believe or agree with me. I think if you're making your way in this world and you're not hurting anybody else, and whatever you believe in is bringing you to a positive place, continue on with that. I'm certainly doing the same. I'm trying to get better. I hope we're all trying to get better. And if you call on somebody to help you to do that and it's working, keep at it. If it's just you and you're getting yourself better on your own and you don't feel like there's anything associated with that but your own human life, then keep at it. But for my own sake, I don't consider myself lofty enough to impose what I believe on others, nor do I think it's to be discussed in the public what I believe for myself. So, onward and upward. Everybody should find their way, and I don't begrudge anybody who's found their way as long as it's not doing harm to others and working for you.
So Reason Over Dogma is asking, when you were on Joe Rogan, you sort of just jumped right into To This Day and touched up on your background. Are we ever going to see an interview that tells more of your story?
Ever's a long time. Ever's a long time. Maybe you keep tuning in. You might have to piece my story together. You got one jigsaw puzzle piece right here. You found out something today. So if I do say, I don't know, 1,000 more of these, and you'll have a 1,000-piece puzzle, and then by then I'll probably be rotting in a hole somewhere, and one of you super fans can put the puzzle together and win an Emmy with a doc. That's my plan.
Okay, he's also asking, how did you and Dave Chappelle become good friends?
Boxing and a common view of the world. What I'm curious about is how some of you became such big boxing fans. The fact that you're even spending as much time as we all have on our hands, is the fact that you're spending this much time with me out of your day says a lot, because what you mainly know me from is the sport, and that to me speaks to what a community we have, an ongoing dialogue. I'm sorry that the sport we love isn't in front of us and being displayed and pursued by those at the elite levels, so that we could watch our continuous storylines meet new chapters. But I am happy that we get a chance now to take some time with each other. This has been probably my favorite thing to have done as a journalist. Just talking to you, hearing from you, finding out what's on your mind in real time. There's a lot of comments that we didn't get to, but we'll do it again. And I'll still read them over after the fact. Anybody who's watched the Joe Rogan podcast knows I read all these comments, even though everybody tells me not to. I do it anyway. And that's because your voice is the most important one. It's the voice with which I speak, or at least hope to speak. So every time I'm talking to somebody and interviewing them, asking questions, coming with what I think are the issues of the day, it's primarily based on what you think are the issues of the day and the questions that you want to ask and what I believe is in your best interest to know. So this time I thought we'd just have a fireside chat, the two of us, and I really can't wait to do this again. But my friends, I smell lunch a-cooking, and I am going to go nosh on that, have myself, because you know what? Here's one golden rule, my friends. It's 5 o'clock everywhere all the time now. Cheers.